I'm Angela.
And I'm Paige.
Join us as we dive into our obsession with true crime, history, and mysterious stories. We'll explore the intricate details of the corrupt, the cruel, and the calculating.
We assume no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in the content of this episode. The Corrupt podcast is based on the facts and our opinions of the case. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Corrupt podcast.
On the morning of December 17th, 2011, 20-month-old Ayla Reynolds would be discovered missing from Waterville, Maine. According to her father, Justin DiPietro, Ayla would be last seen at 10 p.m. at the home shared with his mother and sister the night before. The hunt for Ayla would be the largest criminal investigation in Maine's history. This episode does include the graphic details of Ayla's unsolved disappearance and the discovery of Ayla's blood in the basement of the home where she was living. Ayla Belle Reynolds was born on April 4th, 2010, to Trista Reynolds and Justin DiPietro. Trista and Justin had a fling in 2009 and were surprised by the pregnancy. Initially, Justin wanted to put Ayla up for adoption, but Trista wouldn't consider it. Justin didn't believe that Ayla was his daughter until a paternity test confirmed it in July 2010.
By December 2010, Justin was court-ordered to pay $82 a week in child support for Ayla. He didn't have a relationship with Ayla until she was a year old and his mother Phoebe started to pressure him to see Ayla. There was no court-approved custody agreement for Ayla, but Trista had primary custody. At the time, both Trista and Justin were living in Portland, Maine. Trista says that Ayla loved to dance, and her favorite song was Moves Like Jagger by Maroon 5. Trista had a second baby, Raymond, 9 to 11 months after Ayla was born. According to centralmaine.com, a news website for Kennebec County, during this time, Trista was struggling with a drug addiction.
Between April 2010 to October 2011, Justin had only seen Ayla a handful of times, and she had never stayed the night at his house. On the day visits with Justin, Trista would see bumps and bruises on Ayla when she returned home. Justin explained this away as normal bumps and accidents with a toddler. I think anyone who's been around a toddler in that 1 to 2 year old age range would agree that they bump into things. It's hard learning to walk. But the Reynolds family and doctors were starting to watch and monitor this situation. During one of the day visits, Ayla would return home unable to put weight on her leg. The following day, Trista took Ayla to the doctor, and no injuries were found to her legs, but there was a large bruise that was discovered on Ayla's butt, which the doctor thought might have kept her from putting full weight on her leg. Raymond caught pneumonia, and the Department of Health and Human Services, DHHS, became involved to help Trista with raising 2 babies as a single mother. DHHS is a broader form of Child Protective Services. DHHS provides counseling, health insurance, immunizations, things along those lines, whereas Child Protective Services is a smaller division that really focuses on child abuse and neglect.
Trista entered a voluntary 10-day rehab treatment program for substance abuse in October 2011. She left Ayla and Raymond in the custody of her sister, Jessica, and Trista's mother when she went to rehab. Before heading to the treatment facility, Justin, Trista, and Jessica had a team meeting with DHHS. They were all in agreement with Trista going to rehabilitation and Jessica caring for the children.
Taking a second to stop here just to clarify that Raymond is not Justin's son, so Justin is in agreement with Jessica caring for Ayla.
When Phoebe caught wind of Ayla living with her aunt, she started to push Justin to get Ayla. Phoebe contacted DHHS herself on October 17, 2011. Her call was placed to Karen Small, a Maine Child and Family Services supervisor. Phoebe requested to have Ayla transferred into her care. Karen spoke with Phoebe multiple times during the day. Karen was aware that Justin didn't have custody and initially advised there was nothing she could do to remove Ayla from Jessica's care. Unfortunately, for some unknown reason, Karen eventually agrees to Justin taking custody of Ayla.
Phoebe also worked for the state, but as a Maine Revenue Service employee. There was no court order involved to remove Ayla, and Ayla was not thought to be in danger while with Trista's family, so removing Ayla was not following procedure by any means. Originally, Karen told Phoebe that DHHS wouldn't get involved with the custody issue, but Phoebe keeps pushing the matter. When Karen refused to provide Jessica's address to Phoebe, Phoebe told Karen that she was on her way with Justin to the police department. And at that point, it seems like Karen approves removing Ayla from Jessica's custody, and the DiPietros follow the police department to Jessica's house. Otherwise, they didn't even know where Jessica lived. They didn't know where to find Ayla. The police department thought Karen had the authority to approve removing Ayla and that Justin had custody. There are rumors that Karen and Phoebe were friends or possibly relatives, but I couldn't find any verifiable sources one way or the other. It might be that Karen placed her trust in another state employee, thinking that Phoebe was a coworker of sorts and probably just a decent human being.
To be clear, the PD actually went to Jessica's house with Phoebe, correct?
Right. So Phoebe badgers Karen over a workday, keeps calling her repeatedly, and then eventually just tells her, hey, I'm going to go to the police department. You need to approve this. And when they get to the police department, Karen's talked to the police and says that she's got the authority to approve this. So the police drive right over to Jessica's house, and Justin and Phoebe follow in their car right behind the police officer.
I had originally thought that Phoebe threatened to basically go to the police unless Karen did something. But I'm glad you clarified that for me, because I was like, I don't know. When the police arrived at her home, Jessica told the police officer that Ayla had been abused by Justin and was terrified of him. The police officer noted that Ayla was laughing and playing when he arrived. However, as soon as Ayla saw Justin, she tried to run away and started to cry. The police officer was quoted saying,
I consulted my supervisor, who stated that he was on the phone with Child Protective Services and had spoken with Karen Small, who in fact had authorized DiPietro to take custody of his daughter. I then had DiPietro come in the apartment door. I noted that upon seeing her father, Ayla immediately broke down crying and attempted to flee the kitchen. I was able to pick up the child and hand her to her father as she continued to cry uncontrollably. The police officer had to literally pick Ayla up and hand her to Justin. This is a complete failure to protect Ayla.
Agreed.
Karen was a supervisor and she knew this was not following protocol, but she was also never disciplined for her actions. Fun fact though, for some reason, Karen's salary is posted online. She was making a $50,000 a year salary in 2017, which was apparently 27% less than her peers.
That's not enough. I don't know.
$50,000 in salary is not enough for her job? Or she should make less?
I feel like she should make more.
Yes.
With what she's doing.
As a supervisor of Child Protective Services, I would think that she should be making more than $50,000 a year.
But then again, if she agreed to have Ayla removed from the situation, maybe she shouldn't be paid more.
She's never reprimanded at all for it. They just kind of let it go.
This police officer and everyone around him made a huge mistake handing Ayla over to Justin while she's screaming and crying uncontrollably. I know the authorities were trying to go by the book legally, but pick up the mood or the tension of the atmosphere here and go with your gut. Like, the system failed Ayla at this point.
Well, and the thing too is that this is a completely illegal situation. There's no custody agreement, and so Trista, as the mom, left her with her sister. Justin was in agreement. Also, the police, that poor officer, he thinks that Karen has authority to say this, so he thinks he's doing what he has to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that is something horrible that he has to live with. On October 17th, 2011, Ayla was placed illegally in Justin's care. Justin and Ayla moved into Phoebe's house at 29 Violet Avenue in Waterville, Maine. At the time, there were 3 adults and 2 children living in this house. Justin, Ayla, Phoebe, Justin's sister Alicia, and Alicia's daughter were all crammed into this home. Justin's girlfriend Courtney and Courtney's son would also stay the night, so that would bring the number up to 4 adults and 3 children in a 988 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath house.
That's pretty cramped.
That's a tiny house for that many people, 7 people. Justin lived in the unfinished basement. Alicia had a bedroom, Phoebe had a bedroom, and Ayla and Alicia's daughter shared a bedroom. DHHS should have conducted an inspection of the home prior to transferring Ayla to Justin's care, But this was not done. The house was described as being very cluttered and dirty. One investigator would later be quoted saying the house was
one step away from being a hoarder's house. Justin took out a $10,000 to $25,000 life insurance policy on Ayla the same week she moved into the home.
We don't know if Justin receives the life insurance payment. Justin had at least one other child at the time, but did not take life insurance policies out on this other child, only Ayla.
Derek Tudela was a childhood friend of Justin's. Derek's dad ran a local State Farm office that sold Justin the life insurance policy. Justin was also unemployed at this time. On November 11, 2011, Ayla broke her left forearm and elbow. Justin says he was carrying Ayla and groceries when he slips and falls on Ayla, breaking her arm. He didn't take her to the doctor until the following day. A soft cast was placed on Ayla's arm and another appointment was scheduled with a specialist to confirm if Ayla would need surgery.
In another incident of possible abuse, Trista found bruises on Ayla's leg in November 2011. Justin says that Ayla was injured in a fight at a Chuck E. Cheese ball pit in South Portland. The problem with this story is that the Chuck E. Cheese he's talking about doesn't even have a ball pit.
Do we think he's lying?
I think he's lying.
I think he's lying.
When Trista tried to get Ayla back, DHHS said it was a custody issue and she would have to go through court. Trista continued to try and see Ayla. She was told by Justin that Ayla was busy, or Justin simply said no. The last time Trista would talk to Ayla was on December 8th over the phone. On December 12th, Ayla had her 18-month WIC appointment and the doctor's appointment for her arm, but Justin called and canceled it. He told Trista that he just didn't have the gas money to make the trip to Portland from Waterville. 3 days later, on December 15th, Trista filed for sole custody of Ayla in Cumberland County District Court. She does not notify Justin. In an interview with HLN, Trista said she didn't tell Justin because he could be vindictive and verbally abusive. Trista attempted to speak with Ayla over the phone, but Justin said that Ayla was busy watching Home Alone and he wouldn't let her come to the phone. Justin and Ayla had a play date with Justin's friend Derek and Derek's son on that same day. This would be the last time Ayla was seen alive by anyone outside of the DiPietro family.
Would you show a 2-year-old Home Alone?
At 2? My son was really not into anything other than animated movies.
Right.
I don't think he would have sat still for Home Alone. I don't sit still for Home Alone.
Same. I'm trying to think through the process here. You're showing your almost 2-year-old Home Alone. It could get scary at some parts.
It could. It gets suspenseful. Mm-hmm. And at 2, they really react to suspenseful things. But there are 2 other kids in the house, and I don't know how old those kids are.
True. Very true.
So they might have been more into it than Ayla was.
Justin put Ayla down in her crib at 8 p.m. on Friday, December 16th, 2011. Ayla was wearing green polka dot footy pajamas that said Daddy's Princess on the front. She also had a soft cast and a sling on her left arm. In the home that night were Justin, his sister Alicia, Alicia's son, his girlfriend Courtney Roberts, and Courtney's daughter. Phoebe owned the home but was possibly not there the night Ayla disappeared.
In a CNN interview, Phoebe says that she was home that night, but later she changes her story, and she says she was staying with a friend in Augusta.
At 10 p.m., Alicia checked on Ayla, and everything was okay. There's speculation of a party happening at Phoebe's house on the evening of December 16th. Beer bottles were littered around the basement when the police arrived the next morning. This party possibly included bath salts, which was bigger in 2010 and 2011. Bath salts are psychoactive drugs. Consumed by snorting, orally, and/or smoking, this high is supposedly similar to cocaine or meth. In adults, bath salts cause extreme agitation, violent behavior, and panic attacks. Depending on the type of bath salts, they could also be fatal.
According to Justin, it was Alicia that discovered Ayla missing the following morning. Alicia's daughter had slept with her that night, leaving Ayla alone in the bedroom. Alicia went to check on Ayla and found her crib empty. Exactly 2 months to the day after Ayla was placed in Justin's care, she would be reported as missing. Justin called 911 on December 17, 2011 at 8:49 a.m. Police are withholding the 911 audio, stating that releasing it would interfere with the investigation. They did release the written transcript in February 2014, which I think is a really interesting choice that the audio is being withheld So maybe there's something going on in the background that they're keeping as evidence?
Yeah, what would be the reason that they would keep the audio yet share the transcript? It should be the exact same, but something's going on.
You would think there's something going on in the background that they're not putting words to, if I had to guess.
The dispatcher asked when the last time Justin saw Ayla. He responded, "When I put her to bed last night, my sister had checked on her. Woke up this morning, went to her room, and she's not there."
The dispatcher responded, "Okay, and you've checked all through the house. Is there any way she could have climbed out of her crib?"
Justin responded, "No, ma'am. There's no way she could, there's no way she could."
The full 911 transcript is 5 pages long and is in multiple parts because Justin's phone dies and is disconnected during the phone calls.
The police immediately begin searching for Ayla. Streams and rivers are drained, helicopters search from the air, the woods surrounding the home and trash bins are also searched.
An Amber Alert was not released as there was no suspect that Ayla could be with at that point, so there was no vehicle involved. So instead, they search the complete neighborhood, they drain all of these rivers and streams in the area, but there is no Amber Alert. So I thought it was kind of an interesting tidbit there.
Do Amber Alerts only happen when abductions happen with vehicles?
Yeah, there's rules and regulations with it, but it has to be that you know the child is basically with an adult, or you suspect that they're with an adult and there's a vehicle. So you're on the lookout for, a Chevy Silverado, it's red, license plate, whatever. In Ayla's case, she just disappears in the night. They don't know if she could be with mom or grandma. There's not really a suspect to hammer down, so they don't ever release an Amber Alert for her.
I would still think it would be smart to send out like a missing alert, right?
Everybody in the neighborhood should get a text message.
Yeah.
Waterville is such a small area with less than 20,000 people that word probably got around pretty fast anyways. I'm sure everybody was on the lookout for this baby.
True.
One of the DiPietro's neighbors, Patty, reported hearing a loud bang at approximately 3:30 a.m. on December 17th. Reported as a crash, bang, or loud thump, it was so loud that it woke up her dog. It was possibly a manhole cover outside of the home or a car door slamming. It's also reported that a vehicle pulled up outside of the DiPietro house in the early morning hours of December 17th.
Both parents of Ayla, Justin and Trista, had interesting activities on December 17th. So Trista drove through Waterville on her way to visit her boyfriend.
The drive from Portland would have taken her straight up I-95 through Waterville, so it seems more like a strange coincidence that it was the same morning that Ayla disappeared, but Trista was interviewed for 2 hours at the Waterville Police Department.
After Justin called 911, he locked himself in the bathroom and wouldn't speak to police.
This is far stranger. Why would he lock himself in the bathroom? I think it's possible that he was flushing evidence down the toilet. Maybe drugs, maybe not.
He was definitely hiding something, whether it was physical evidence or just plain guilt.
The DiPietro family made a statement saying that he had basically like a panic attack, and so he locked himself in the bathroom. Like, nothing suspicious here, he's just freaking out. So there's that as well.
Did he have a history of panic attacks at all?
I don't know. I also heard a different story that he was so nervous, basically, that he had just bouts of diarrhea. So that's why he's locked in the bathroom.
Yeah, bath salts can do that to you too, right?
Do you remember in 2010, 2011 when bath salts were a huge thing?
Yeah.
Like everybody was snorting them and going crazy.
I remember reading a couple articles. People took it in Florida and they literally acted like zombies. And it was creeping me out.
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, these people are going to just overdose on bath salts or just do a lot of that stuff. And then we're just going to all die from a zombie apocalypse.
The apocalypse is here. It starts with bath salts.
It was a thing. I don't know if Reddit
really
was a
was.
thing back then, but it was definitely a thing. I feel like people would go down a hole like, the zombie apocalypse is happening. Like,
Wasn't there somebody that went berserk and like ate somebody's face?
yes. I believe that was the Florida one.
Oh my gosh.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, no doubt. By December 18th, the FBI got involved in the search. Waterville Police and the Maine State Police searched for forensic evidence in the Violet Avenue home. Trista makes an appearance on Good Morning America and Nancy Grace on December 19th. Back in Waterville, Justin and Courtney's vehicles were seized by the police and searched. Justin released his first statement on Tuesday, December 20th. In his statement, Justin said,
"I will not make accusations or insinuations towards anyone until the police have been able to prove who is responsible for this."
A candlelight service vigil and 50-person search party increased the search for Ayla. On December 22nd, the DiPietro house became an official crime scene. Windows and doors were sealed, and crime scene tape went up. Cadaver dogs were brought in. Phoebe, Justin, Alicia, and Alicia's daughter moved in with Derek Tadula.
By December 23rd, Trista was on the Today's Show accusing Justin of not keeping Ayla safe. A $30,000 reward is offered for information on Ayla's disappearance. Law enforcement announced they think Ayla was abducted as she couldn't have left the home by her own means. This was on December 26, 2011.
Sadly, this was just past what would have been Ayla's second Christmas. It really puts Ayla's age into perspective when you think about the fact that Trista only had Christmas 2010 with her.
The large-scale searches started to wind down 11 days after her disappearance. Law enforcement announced they suspect foul play is involved by December 30th. On December 31st, 2011, the Violet Avenue home would be released back to Phoebe. The house was no longer considered a crime scene, and the family moved back in. In an interview, Phoebe would say she was living in a nightmare, waiting for the police to call, saying they had found Ayla. A shrine was set up outside of Phoebe's house with teddy bears, photos, gifts, cards, and candles. Both Trista and Justin take polygraph tests. In Justin's words, he smoked it, but according to Trista, the police say he failed the test. Justin says,
"Well, you know what? The police never showed me the results. So until I see the results, they're totally irrelevant and I smoked it." The police don't have an update on this, so we're not really sure if Justin smoked it or not. Trista says that she couldn't complete her test due to medical reasons.
I looked this up because I was unsure of what medical reasons one could have in order to not be able to take a polygraph test. And if you have any sort of physical or mental condition like anxiety, high stress, or heart issues, it might interfere with accurate results so that you could potentially get disqualified, which would be me. Wouldn't anybody getting a polygraph test be in a stressful situation?
That's what I was thinking too. Trista's daughter is missing.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine she's a giant ball of stress and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
It's a parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
So it must be that you're on medication maybe for anxiety or you're on medication for heart issues. Either way, polygraph tests are inadmissible in court. So they're really just using this as a tactic to see who basically epically fails. And that's who police know they need to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
They can't use that in court. So Justin may have smoked it, but he doesn't say what does that mean? I'm assuming he's trying to say he smoked it, I passed it. Then just come out and say that. Everybody's looking at him like he did something wrong. Don't mess around. Just say, "I passed, thanks."
I know. I had to think the same thing when he said, "I smoked it." I'm like, what'd you smoke? Meth? What's going on here?
In 2012, Alicia told reporters that she, quote, "did fine on her polygraph." So we're assuming she passed, but again, she also doesn't specifically say that she passed. In January 2012, police confirmed they found Ayla's blood in the house. Take a deep breath here, guys, because we're about to dig into some significant graphic blood evidence. There was blood throughout the house, with more than a cup of Ayla's blood in the basement. For reference, a 2-year-old has 1 to 2 pounds of blood in their entire body. Ayla at the time of her disappearance was 30 pounds. Losing a cup or a half pound of blood is a significant, potentially fatal amount of blood loss.
That's so terrible to think about. I don't like it.
It's very tragic. The majority of blood droplets were on Justin's basement bedroom floor, walls, his mattress, and the sheets. There was also blood on Ayla's princess slippers, and one of her dolls looked like Ayla had wiped her face with blood on it. A plastic tote in Justin's room had a sheet inside that appeared to have been used to clean up Ayla's blood. Some of the blood also had saliva mixed with it, like Ayla had possibly coughed the blood up from internal injuries. The police found spray-type patterns of blood at Ayla's height. This would indicate internal and external injuries with possible blunt force trauma. Ayla's crib blanket and pillow had blood on them. The living room couch had a silver dollar-sized stain. There was also blood and vomit found inside Justin's car and the left shoulder strap of Ayla's car seat. Justin would say that Ayla had been sick and vomiting blood. Alicia said that Ayla was lactose intolerant, which caused her to vomit blood. However, further research shows that lactose intolerance would not make Ayla vomit blood. If she was that sick from milk, it would have been more likely to have been a dairy allergy, which is much more serious and would require immediate medical attention.
Yeah, you can't say that someone is vomiting blood and they have lactose intolerant. That doesn't make any sense.
No, and I think every parent, if your child is vomiting blood, you're panicking and you're taking them immediately to the emergency room.
Exactly.
And all signs point to the fact that Ayla did not get that medical attention she needed.
It just blows my mind that all of this evidence is in the house and Justin didn't even, he's not a suspect. He is a suspect, but he's not taken in.
He's not behind bars right now. It's definitely something to get riled up about because it's just so much blood throughout the entire house. You're talking about a less than 2-year-old baby that had her doll baby in her hands and wipes her bloody mouth on it. As a mom, I cannot fathom this.
Oh, I'm riled up, all right. I'm riled up. Bring it. 20-month-old baby. She's so beautiful, so cute. Honestly reminds me of my own daughter when she was that age. And it literally brings me to tears of whatever she went through.
It's horrible. We're almost through the blood evidence here. Continuing on, there were pink fibers similar to toy hair that was found in the vomit on the bedroom floor. When the blood evidence was reviewed with Justin, police say that Justin had no reaction and was quoted saying the blood on his wall was no big deal. Again, what dad says there's blood all over, there's blood on the wall, it's no big deal, and just shrugs it off?
The same dad that breaks her arm, probably intentionally, and waits until the next day to take her to the hospital for it.
Yeah, because she had to be in so much pain from that.
Mm-hmm.
The families have different perspectives on the amount of blood. The DiPietro family says it wasn't that much blood. Trista says it looked like a murder scene. I wish law enforcement would release the crime scene photos so we could see for ourselves, but I'm not sure that I could ever shrug off any amount of my child's blood in a house as just no big deal.
Mm-hmm. On January 28th, Justin and Trista both attended a vigil for Ayla. It was the first time they had been face-to-face since before Ayla disappeared. In February 2012, Phoebe called the police at 11:15 p.m. to report someone was throwing objects and breaking their windows. The police didn't recover rocks or objects, so it's thought that the 2 broken windows were vandalized by a baseball bat or similar. A 19-year-old man was arrested for the vandalism later. He confessed to the crime and called himself a vigilante vandal. During the searches, human remains were found of a missing man, Stephen C. Brandon. Stephen had been missing from Waterville since 2004. It appears that Stephen had committed suicide and his remains were undiscovered for 8 years. By March 2012, law enforcement reported that communications between them and the DiPietro family had pretty much stopped. The investigation had cost approximately $500,000 in 3 months.
In May 2012, Trista organized the Eyes Open Walk in Waterville. The 4-mile walk would bring awareness for Ayla's disappearance. On January 30th, 2012, the $30,000 reward expired, and in July, the DiPietro family removed Ayla's shrine from the front lawn of their house. On the first anniversary of Ayla's disappearance, a vigil was held outside of the DiPietro house. About 20 people sang Christmas carols and lit candles. The lights were on in the home, but the DiPietro family did not come outside. On July 25, 2013, Justin pleaded not guilty for a domestic violence charge. This charge came from a fight that Justin and his now ex-girlfriend Courtney had gotten into. Justin reportedly grabbed and pushed Courtney during this altercation. He was charged and released on bail. The following September, Justin would be back in jail for violating his bail conditions. During a traffic stop, alcohol was discovered in Justin's possession, which violated his bail agreement. He was fined $140 and spent 4 days in jail. The domestic violence case with Courtney was dismissed, as Courtney was no longer cooperating with the courts. Trista confronted Justin outside of the courthouse on September 26th. Trista and approximately a dozen of her friends and family got into a fight both inside and outside of the courthouse. Trista yells at Justin and begs him for information on Ayla's whereabouts. But Justin, he just keeps walking and never responds. Just so infuriating. According to Trista, investigators told her they suspect Ayla was wrapped in a blanket, put in a bag, and removed from the home. Justin continues to say that Ayla was abducted from her bed.
If you pull up the footage, Trista goes off on Justin. She is just rattling him to the core. And I'm sure Justin's lawyer was zip it. But she was going hardcore and fight. You could just tell, you could feel the emotion, the anger that she had.
The accusation of, how could you let this happen to our daughter? Where is our baby? It's heartbreaking to watch.
In 2015, a toddler girl's body was found wrapped in plastic in Massachusetts. Originally known as the Deer Island Jane Doe, she was estimated to be 3 to 5 years old. Ayla was ruled out, and the Jane Doe was later identified as 2.5-year-old Bella Bond.
Bella's mother and her mother's boyfriend were charged with Bella's murder. The actual cause of this baby's death is unknown. We don't have Bella's murder on our list right now. I will go ahead and add her to our list. However, if any of our listeners have recommendations, drop that in the YouTube or wherever you're listening's comments, and I will make sure that every single one gets added to our list for review.
We're here for the crew. You know what I'm saying? The corrupted crew. That's you guys. The judge declared Ayla legally dead in 2017, and Trista was able to file a wrongful death suit at that time. Trista says that she had been sober for 6 years by 2017.
Woohoo! Go Trista, go!
On the 7th anniversary of Ayla's disappearance, Trista filed a lawsuit against Justin. The lawsuit charges were for wrongful death, pain and suffering, and interference with the body. Justin was also charged with breach of his parental duty to protect Ayla. Unfortunately, Justin was nowhere to be found in 2018. He would eventually be located in Los Angeles, California. The case would be delayed even more due to the COVID pandemic. On February 18, 2022, Trista asked the court to include Phoebe and Alicia in the lawsuit. Phoebe and Alicia would be sued for wrongful death, pain and suffering, and interference with the body.
Phoebe was also sued for premises liability in Ayla's disappearance. According to the lawsuit, doors had been knowingly left unlocked on the night of December 16, 2011, which created a dangerous condition in the home.
That same June, court documents show Justin fighting the lawsuit for himself, his mother, and sister. Justin was citing that the statute of limitations had passed.
In September 2024, the lawsuit reached an agreement. There was a confidentiality agreement, so the settlement amount is unknown. Ayla would have been 14 years old. She now has 2 brothers, Raymond and Anthony. The question still remains, what happened to Ayla Reynolds? In a December 17, 2024 Facebook post, the Maine State Police said, quote,
"Investigators have ruled out any possibility that Ayla left the house on her own or that she was abducted. Investigators discovered Ayla's blood in the basement of her home, and the adults who were in the home are withholding information. Police believe that Ayla is likely dead."
This post was made on the 13th anniversary of Ayla's disappearance.
Justin had life insurance on Ayla. One of the theories is that Justin murdered Ayla for the life insurance payout. Justin was unemployed and there were signs of abuse. Justin and Trista were so young with a history of substance and alcohol abuse. It's speculation, but it is possible that Ayla ingested heroin or bath salts at the DiPietro house. Either one could make her vomit blood and be toxic to a toddler. If Ayla didn't receive the medical attention she needed, she could have overdosed.
It is always possible that Ayla is still alive today. It's been many years since a new photo has been shared of Ayla. I hope that law enforcement considers the possibility that Ayla is alive and releases an age progression photo of her.
Why hasn't that been done yet?
Similar to Brian Schaefer, it was 15 years before they released an age progression photo of him.
That's true. Well, they need to get on it.
Yeah, I think AI could help them make an age progression photo even. Something that would help, in case she was kidnapped, help us find her.
Every year in the month of December, Trista asks for porch lights to be pink to light it up pink for Ayla. Pink was Ayla's favorite color. This fabulous idea is done in remembrance of Ayla and the continued fight for answers.
I actually thought this was a fantastic idea, so we purchased some smart bulbs and we'll be doing this from my home in December.
I also just want to point out that in our podcast notes, your font is also pink. So Ayla's voice is definitely not going unheard or unnoticed here. I will also be lighting up our porch pink in remembrance of Ayla.
All the way from Ohio.
Yes.
In a 2014 interview, Trista said,
I think what I need is closure to move on with my life. To be able to sit down with my sons and talk about Ayla and say, you had a sister who loved you.
There are 2 Facebook groups, Speak Up for Ayla and Ayla's Angels. Go join the groups. We'll list the links in our episode notes. As part of our research for this episode, we spoke with Donna from Speak Up for Ayla. There is also a 2021 podcast miniseries done by Locating the Lost that digs into Ayla's disappearance over 7 episodes. I would highly recommend giving that a listen as well, and we'll list that link in our episode notes as well. If you have information on Ayla's disappearance or whereabouts, please contact the Maine State Police at 207-624-7143. You can also report information online to the Maine State Police. We'll list the website and the phone number again in our episode notes. We would love for you to become part of the Corrupt crew. You can find us on Patreon with multiple tiers and PayPal. This will score you our appreciation and will announce your name in a future episode. Both links are in the episode notes. Case suggestions and feedback can be emailed to us at corruptpod@gmail.com.
The sources for this episode would be listed in the episode notes. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Don't forget to subscribe to catch our new Corrupt content. Please also leave us a review wherever you're listening to this episode. Bye!
Bye!